Greetings, welcome to my channel. Let's delve a little bit into most common spread APIs. So let's start with REST. The most common, a classical way for server-side communication between a server and client. I mean, not real-time way, even though HTTP2, HTTP3 they have ways to do this quite efficiently. It's a battle-tested, time-checked solution. It's easy to work with it, and so on. Generally, no blatant cons. Everything is fine. If you choose this, you don't lose. Believe me. GraphQL. It's rarely used, but sometimes you can come across it in different projects, especially front-end focused one. What's the main difference? REST has a schema, like a flexible schema, which your front-end, for example, uses to query some data from your server and send it back. With GraphQL, it's a little bit different. You define your schema, like all possible ways, for example, your classes or structures, for example, like a user, or like all of a user's fields, all of like posts of users, and each post has its own fields and so on. And your frontend basically decides on mobile applications how to use it, because in REST we simply send them everything we have, and like even some extra data, for example, if they don't need to. And with GraphQL, your frontend, generally your clients, your mobile applications, whatever, they explicitly choose what to query, what to select. They have a special language for this. Don't remember by heart, you can Google it, but there is a separate distinct language for this they use to decide what fields to use. At a glance, it seems cool, but in my experience, I wouldn't recommend generally to use it, and this is why it's not a very common solution, I think. gRPC, it's a very interesting new way, relatively new way to communicate between server and clients. So it's like Google remote procedural calls, and what it means, you define your models, like protobuf models, special like protofiles, and then it generates code automatically. It decides all of your structures like classes, fields, you'll send back and forth. Also, it decides all of your methods, because with REST, for example, we have a lot of separate endpoints which send back and forth different data. With GraphQL, we have just one endpoint, one main schema, and there you decide what to query. And gRPC relies on generated code, so like your frontend, for example, your mobile applications communicate with it by using its like models, entities, and methods, services, they call it. A very cool, interesting, modern solution. I prefer it this way, but not very spread nowadays. And unfortunately, modern browsers don't support it really. And for this, you need one more proxy, web proxy, for example, the most common way to use it. But I really like it's the most modern solution for such classical, not real-time applications, even though gRPC can handle real-time connections pretty well, from my experience. For real-time apps, the most battle-tested, reliable solution is webhooks. They've been used for decades, I think, already. Nothing really bad I can tell you about this. Just not the most modern way to do this, but it works. There are more modern alternatives. For example, WebRTC for like peer-to-peer communication. I think it can be really cool for like real-time apps. I mean, like video, for example, connections and so on. Might be really cool. What else? Web transport is also a kind of alternative of webhooks, but yeah, like you can use it for sending information. But as far as I know, we can use pure web transport for video connections, audio connections. I may be wrong, but as far as I understand, like you need to use, for example, web transport in conjunction with WebRTC. For example, this way it will work. So yeah, there are more modern alternatives of WebSockets, but maybe more complicated setup, maybe harder to use generally, and so on. Webhooks, like generally you can see it in payment services. It's a kind of one-side communication between a server and client. For example, something happens on the server, it sends it back to the client. But it's not like back and forth communication like with WebSockets or with WebRTC, with web transport. It's simply just yeah, sends it from the server to the client, and that's it. So basically, that's it. Like I haven't broken down all existing APIs. There are more of them, but I just voiced you the most common ones. So like generally for not real-time apps, REST is the most common way to do things. gRPC is really cool, the best in my opinion, but it's more complicated to implement. Not a lot of developers are familiar with it. And browsers unfortunately don't support it. You need an additional web proxy for this, and like mobile applications, for example, don't have such issues. They support gRPC natively. GraphQL, like some applications use it, so yeah, if you're a developer, you may find a project with gRPC, you can come across to it. For real-time communications, like WebSockets is the most common solution, and there are more modern alternatives like WebRTC for peer-to-peer communication with lower latencies, generally latencies and so on. And yes, web transport is a very interesting way to do things, but as far as I know, you can't use only web transport, you can rely only on it if you'd like to create, for example, like audio calls, like video calls and so on, but you may be able to use it for chats, like simple chats, but we need to check it out because here I may be wrong. So I hope the video was interesting for you. If so, please like it, share this video with your friends, acquaintances, subscribe on my channel, and hope to see you soon. Bye.